Hello, everyone. So, today in the series of how to write for premier journals, we have already covered what are premier journals and why usually manuscripts fail. So, what are the checkpoints for us as in researchers? So, we are sharing how we can improve and how we can attempt for writing for premier journals. What are premier journals? Why usually manuscripts fail? What are the expectations? And in this entire series, right now, we are discussing the entire anatomy of the articles and we are section wise discussing this. So far, we have covered how we can frame a well written title or how we can frame a good title for a research article. What are the clear and concise elements which we can include to make our abstract? So, how we can actually frame a good abstract for a research paper, especially when we are submitting to premier journals. How we can write a compelling introduction. This is what we have covered so far, and now we are here today covering that how we can include or create or have a robust theoretical background for our research paper. And eventually, we'll be covering all the anatomy of a research article. But today, we have reached and we will be covering the robust theoretical backgrounds. And on the playlist of this entire series, you can find it as part 5.1 because theoretical background is a bit long and a deep conversation, and a lot of clarity is required in this regard. So we have divided this particular section into two sections in our playlist so that we understand it in a better way. So today, let's start the part one, that is for 5.1 part of talking about theoretical background. But before we start, let's understand why theoretical background, and we often call it as a theoretical underpinning, is important. What are the major things which we have to keep in mind? So, first of all, it actually creates a foundation for our research work. Because remember, what in research we are doing, we are building, right? With the knowledge in the knowledge space, whatever knowledge is existing in the particular area on in which we are doing our research, we are building on it, right? So let's say if a pile of bricks, or we are making collectively as a researchers, we are trying to make a wall, and every researcher is putting a brick in that wall, right? So what we are doing, we are also building with our own piece of brick, right? So it is a wall of knowledge kind of thing, so that we understand it, what exactly we are doing, and we cannot get our own brick and place it anywhere on in this wall, right? Or we just place it in some other place and say that okay, this is my article and this is my contribution to the body of knowledge. Remember, if we have to make entire wall of knowledge, we have to place our own piece of brick that we are contributing to the wall of knowledge which we are discussing with the example over here. We cannot place this brick anywhere. We have to place our brick, that is in form of our research paper, on this wall of knowledge appropriately so that it contributes. So remember, it should give a clear foundation. So whenever we are placing a brick on this wall of knowledge, we have to justify it, that why we are placing it here. So it gives a clear cut foundation. So the moment we clarifies theoretical background, it gives the clear foundation to the piece of brick which we are placing on that wall of knowledge. It explains that why the study matters in this entire picture. It also guides the study that this is the direction in which the researcher is speaking, and these are the theories which are already there. Okay, so it helps us add credibility. We cannot just bring our own brick and place it anywhere. No, then it will be very difficult for us as a researcher to place ourselves in the entire wall, or in the entire build which we are making collectively as the researcher. So remember, we have to place ourselves, and this theoretical background will help us to link the study to the existing research. It will help us to place our own brick of piece or piece of brick, to place it in the entire wall of knowledge. So let's understand this in a deeper way, that why it's important and how we as a researcher can do it. First of all, it demonstrates the author's command over key theories. So if we are a budding researcher, let's note everyone that whenever we are reading some research paper or whatever uh, habit we have developed to read the research papers, to read the books, let's have a command on the key theories. Now the question may come in our mind that how to have a command on the key theories. So remember, we must be having a research area, right? There might be some key terms which defines our research area. Within our research area, within our research space, let's start building our knowledge on the key theories. For example, if one researcher is working in the area of, let's say, understanding the human behavior, or working continuously on human behavior, on motivation, on let's say technology, because nowadays the hybrid things are going on, multidisciplinary researchers are coming up. So let's say if a person works so much with the human behavior, so much with the motivation, so he must be knowing the basics of human behavioral theories like theory of planned behavior, theory of, or Maslow's hierarchy of theories. If we talk about technology, the person should be knowing technology adoption models which are there, various models, theories, frameworks that are available and that are already being published by the very well established researchers. So first of all of us, what we can do is let's have a command on the key theories in our field. It's very very important. And how it is going to help us? So the moment we'll come up with the research topic, right? And of course the research topic will be in our own area, right? So what we can do, we must be having the command first. So the moment the research idea will come in our mind, the theories will also come up, that okay, my this research area is getting connected with these key theories. So let's start with building the command key theories. So as a researcher, first of all, in our own area, let's start having a command on key theories first, and then the core concepts. So the core concepts keeps on evolving. The core concepts are already there, but we keep on working, and whenever we talk about researches, we keeps on doing this thing, that okay, these are the core concepts, and nowadays a lot many new concepts are also evolving, merging the two concepts, right? So there are so many things which are coming up in the current times. But as a researcher, for building the theoretical background, first let's start with having a command on key theories, then on the key core concepts in which we are working, and then the suspected relationships. So we keep on talking, right, as a researcher, that okay, these are ABC variables, core concepts which I frequently work towards, and then these are the theories in this area. And then we continuously as a researcher keeps on experimenting with the relationship, with the associations, right? So let's first do this, and then the moment we will start doing the theoretical underpinning, we'll be able to demonstrate it very very clearly. Then comes, and theoretical underpinning signals the scholarly awareness and depth, okay, which is critical for the premier journals. That's we have to understand this. We were discussing before starting this conversation, we were discussing about the entire wall of knowledge, and we have to place our own brick there, right? So the moment we will place our brick there, it signs the scholarly entire community that okay, this is the depth which our work holds, and everybody gets aware that okay, these are the theories on which this person is trying to build his or her research on. So it actually signals the entire scholarly space, right? So we have to, and this is why theoretical background is important and how we can develop it. Then comes the poor and inconsistent structuring can create ambiguity or vagueness, and leading to editors and reviewers to question your publishability, right? So remember, if you will bring your piece of brick and try to place it here and there at any of the level, it will be very very difficult, everyone. So we have to place that piece with proper building on some prior theories which are already existing. Otherwise, nobody will be able to understand where your work is coming from and where you are exactly building. Then, a consistent and well organized structure reduces uncertainty and strengthens the confidence in the manuscript. We have to understand this. So, if there is a wall wherein we are built, which is already built by the prior researcher, and if we are trying to place our brick or our piece of work here, we have to talk about all the work which are already being done in that specific area. So it should be consistent and well organized, structured. Okay, so it's very very critical to have a theoretical background. Now let's discuss the three aspects that when you will read a research paper, you will see that there is a proper structure which the researchers follow whenever they are writing a research article. Let's try to understand it one by one. So from the theoretical lens, so first of all we have to discuss the theoretical lens, then the literature review, and then in some research paper you might find the conceptual frameworks. So it varies. If it applies to the researchers include it. Sometimes they don't prefer it. Because of many reasons, we are talking about many reasons so far, like to maybe to reduce the number of words. Sometimes it's not required for the research. But let's understand what are the all ingredients involved, and we will be using them in our research paper according to wherever it is applicable and wherever we feel it is critical. Okay, so let's have all the tools. So first of all, from the theoretical lens, what are the key theories about your work? Okay, so if you're whatever area you are working in, we have already discussed, have a command, try to build the command on all the theories which are related to your work. And then whenever you are writing your manuscript, first discuss what are the key theories this research paper is connecting to and why it is important. So how your research is getting connected, how has the key theory been used in existing studies, and explain any irregularities if present. Okay, so how that key theory which you are bringing in your manuscript is connecting to the current purpose, the current objective. And if you feel like there are some mm, things which are not aligned and you're trying to bring in something new to that space, you may highlight that as well, that in the existing studies it is there, but this particular concept or this particular perspective is missing, which your research is trying to build in, which our research is trying to build in, that we have to highlight over here. So exactly, again, justifying the research gap connecting to the research objective, that's what we do here. How does this key theory guide and inform the present study? Of course, this will also come in. And how does the present study advance or extend the knowledge, right? So remember, we are trying to place a brick of our work on this wall of knowledge. So we have to justify to the space, to the body of knowledge, that why and how we are actually trying to add value to that wall with our brick. Otherwise, nobody will allow us to place our brick there, right? And the reviewers will reject it. Okay, so we have to keep all these things in mind. Now, literature review. So literature review is exactly a review of related literature, right? So if we are working on X topic, so we'll be reading many research papers related to X topic or X keywords. Now we have to explain what is the key concept which we are trying to bring in via our research, and we have to properly give the definitions, the core constructs, the core tenets of that, and why it is important. So first is theoretical lens, the second is literature review. Sometimes we try to cite the recent literature, preferably the last 5 years, but it's not a mandatory rule. If you feel there are some very, very key researches which are done years back, like theories, sometimes the theories evolve, even decades before. So feel free to cite them, but the main thing is your key concepts which are there in the research, and what have existing studies discovered or reported about the key concept, that how your existing work is, because we have to create a connect, right? So what are the existing studies are discovering, and how, what gap we are trying to fill. So what are the research gaps, issues, problems which we are trying to build on. Okay, so this is the second part. Whenever we talk about theoretical underpinning, we'll see some research papers as well, how they have done, but at the moment let's understand this. Then comes the conceptual framework, that sometimes with the diagrammatic representation we share that these are the main constructs, variables of our study, and this is the relationship which we want to study. Okay, so what have the existing studies found about each proposed relationship, if you want to show, and what are the rationales and the reasons behind each proposed relationship in the particular study or in our study which we are going to propose. So remember, theoretical underpinning has various lens to it, and we have to check, and as a researcher we have to decide that what flow we want to keep in and how we are going to pen it when we are writing a research paper. Now, what kind of approach we can have? So first of all, first we have already discussed that let's start building the theoretical knowledge in our own field. Okay, so you may read some recent research papers in your field, or let's say you may download 10 or 20 research papers and check what all theories they are using, or you may just put in the keywords on Google Scholar related to your area, and then you will be able to see some research papers there, the top research papers, and you can just see that what kind of theories those research papers are using. So this will give you a vague idea that what are the key theories in your area. So this is how you can start if you are a budding researcher, and if you are a prominent researcher, you must be knowing it. And if even if you don't know it, just read and keep on reading. And the moment you read some new research paper, just note down the theory, or immediately just refer it on Google that okay, how this theory looks. And if you find it interesting in your upcoming idea, let's say if your research paper is coming up, and if you feel like yeah, this theory is so much connecting to my upcoming research idea, you can just make a flow diagram at that moment only. So you will be able to understand it and able to connect it better with your upcoming research, right? So that's how we actually build, and over the period of time it will become your habit, because then you will be having a repository as well of all the theories which are prominently used in your field, right? So now first of all, let's build the base of the knowledge of the theory. If the theory's knowledge will be weak, we will not be able to connect. So it'll take a lot of time, I feel. Okay. So what kind of approach whenever we are writing a research paper we can do? So first, define the research problem and questions, and identify the key concepts of your research. Okay. Then review the relevant theories. So you can download the research papers related to the key concepts or related to your topic which is coming up. So let's say if your topic is on innovation and marketing. Okay. So your keywords are innovation and marketing. So you can just go on Google Scholar and type in these keywords, and then you can download the research paper. Let's say you download 10 research paper. So you will get to know that on these keywords, what kind of theories or which particular theories are being cited in. So you can just explore these theories and explain that how your topic that is on innovation and marketing is connected to these theories. So you can establish the relationship and satisfy, further that, okay, this is how it is connected. Then you must be having, let's say you have sorted out or noted down 7 theories, okay, out of those 10 research paper. So there might be two cases. Either directly your theories are suiting your research article and research idea. So you can just definitely go ahead with specifying those theories and including those theories for the theoretical underpinning in your research paper. But if it is not, or those theories are not suiting, what to do in that case? So in that case, you have to contextualize. Okay, so remember there are two cases. The first is directly you found the theories and you are just doing the theoretical underpinning based on these 7 theories you have to sort out, because 7 theories will be too much for a research paper. Majorly, we give the foundation of 1 or 2 or maximum 3 in the research articles. So you have to select the most 3 suitable ones for your research article. So this is the direct case that, okay, you have adopted this process and you have come up with a few theories which are directly connected to your research keywords or research area, that is innovation in marketing. Now what if you are not finding, or if we are not finding any theory related to our work, then in that case we have to contextualize. So now what is contextualization? We have to position some theories which might not be very near to our research topic but a bit far. Okay, so let's say if we are not finding any theory that is directly connected to our work or keywords, but probably, somewhat connected to our work. Okay, so we can take help of that broader academic landscape or some frameworks that are existing, and then try to build our knowledge on that. Because sometimes it happens, especially with very, very novel ideas, that directly they are not finding any theory to build on, or sometimes we don't find any theory to build on. So in that case, you have to research so much and found out at least, some connected foundations, right? So let's say if I'm working on innovation, has directly connected theories like theory of innovation, diffusion of innovation, all these theories. But let's say you are working on some very, very novel idea. In that case, start contextualizing. So a bit theories that you can place, that may be a bit far, but you can just connect to your research work. That is the thing which we can do, and further linking those to our research paper. So explicitly mentioning and explaining how those theories supports your question, and then how they can interpret your findings, and then further theoretical underpinnings will be developed. So we have discussed 2 cases. First is how to find the relevant theories for our research article, and if there are 2 cases, if we are not directly finding them, how to deal with the situation. Okay, now coming to the practical example which we can see here. that if we have to directly go to, and see one research article. Let's have a look at this research article, that how they have done. And I have just shortlisted this article because it's recent. It's just published in 2026, and we are making this video in January 2026, and this article is just published, and I was able to see it. So it is not shortlisted on any criteria, but just because it's recent. So let's have a look at this article. Yeah. So just a moment, let me just zoom it. So now we are discussing that, okay, how to include the theoretical underpinning in an article. So when you are starting your research article, we have discussed about writing how to build a good title, then abstract, then introduction. We have already discussed this. Now we have reached this point. Okay. So usually in research paper, the theoretical underpinnings come under review of literature section. Okay. And how we start, you remember how we start? You remember these points? So it comes under the section review of literature, and we have to mention this review of literature, theoretical lens we have to give, and conceptual framework if we want to give. So it's up to us as a researcher. So can we see in the very first line, they are mentioning that the research is based on resource-based view and dynamic capabilities theories, right? And then who gave them these theories? So can we see like how much old these citations are? And then we try to build our entire theoretical underpinning, that how we are trying to build the base. Then immediately they come on their keywords, right? So can you see what are the keywords of the study? Knowledge, innovation, ambidextrous leadership, right? So these are the keywords. Business circularity also we can say. So what they are doing, they are first doing the theoretical underpinnings, and then they are immediately coming to their keywords. And in keywords, they'll be elaborating. What they will be elaborating? They will be talking about what are the key concepts, their definitions, their core tenets, and why these keywords are important, right? What these studies have done, and what are the research gaps, and how this research is attempting to fill these gaps. Can we see how it is done, right? And then based on that, they have immediately started building the hypothesis also here only. Okay. And then so how they are structuring it? They are structuring it as per their hypothesis planning. So first they are discussing about ambidextrous leadership and business circularity. So they have planned their first hypothesis here, and then immediately they have discussed about ambidextrous leadership and circular exploitative activities. So their next hypothesis must be related to that. So we immediately do, can we see how connected the things are? Theoretical underpinning, connecting to the keywords, and then immediately connecting it to the hypothesis, right? So this is how we do it. This is how we do it. And this is how we are moving ahead in our research article, that how we frame the title, abstract, introduction, and now the literature review. Okay. And please note, these theoretical underpinnings are not always applicable. These are only applicable to research papers and research articles, not related to the articles like systematic review of literature or review articles. Theoretical underpinnings are not done there, majorly not done there. They are just for the research papers. Okay. So this is just to give you an idea how we can do it as a researcher, and just to show you a very good category paper. I feel this journal is a A category journal. So we can just have an idea that how we can structure our research paper, and how we can make our every section connected. The title should be connected to the abstract. The abstract should immediately be connected to the introduction. Then further, the introduction should be directly connected, or speaking to our review of literature. And immediately the moment they framed the review of literature, or the author framed the review of literature, they cited or connected and framed the hypothesis, right? So this is how we have to plan our research. And can we see the conceptual framework as well here? Right? So this is the conceptual framework. And in the next video, we are going to talk about what is the difference between theoretical frameworks and conceptual frameworks. So, and we are going to talk about it in detail, but at the moment, try to just understand that how it is done in research paper. So here we are ending at framing the hypothesis. And then in the next, our next section in the anatomy is methodology. But before that, we will try to understand this, that is conceptual frameworks and theoretical frameworks and how they differ with each other. I hope this has given you some idea about how it is done and how we actually start it in our research paper. And I hope looking at this research paper might have given you some idea. I'm going to attach all the references not only at the bottom of the slides but in the description, so that if you want to read the entire paper and try to structure the things or try to get some help from these research papers, you may directly download these research papers and try to learn from these research papers. So for your help, we have done that. And as it is a collaborative platform, it's not like, please do share your ideas as well, because a few things evolve when we do and when we start doing the things. So please do share your ideas. How you do it, what are the ideas you have which can help us collectively in publishing for the premier journals. So thank you so much. See you in the next video.